Gentlemen, what a great result. It's great to see this tremendous conference being revived, and the attendance here, 165 delegates, of which well nigh on 100 came from airports, is a remarkable success given literally how late this was in becoming an actual event. And there's to be a lot of congratulations to you both for helping deliver it, and for the sponsors that became involved as well. What's your take from today's event?
Well, it's the testimony of the resilience of this group and the resilience of the partners. It's true that both Philip and I put in a lot of work, but if we would have shown up only by ourselves, we would have been talking to an empty room. Everybody showed up, everybody put on their A game. So it's a resilience, and it's a lot of gratitude for the group, which has been felt already in the commercial forum, which we both lead, and I think it resonates in the commercial conference. We took a similar approach, and the community spoke loudly by attending, as you say, at late notice. Sponsors chipped in, so resilience and gratitude.
Well, I've had the privilege of being the media partner for today, and one of the parts of my role here was to actually interview sort of 8 of the A-listers that attended, and those interviews will be available on the blog and available on ACI Europe's website. And they're a tremendous testament to senior management that attended here, and also the quality of the content that was covered today from a number of the speakers and the panels that were involved. And the one thing that is common to all of them was that they felt they enjoyed some real learnings out of this. I mean, Philip, isn't that really what you wanted most out of this conference?
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, this is our members are very dear to us. We call it a bit like a circus traveling around Europe and the world. Yeah, it's always the same participants, and we're a big family, but it's difficult for those experts to really bring something new for them, and where they really can take something back. And that's really the ideology we have behind the commercial forum as well, that if you have one thing you take back from the day, then it was already worthwhile coming, because usually if you attend conferences, that's not always given. And having this feedback obviously makes us extremely proud and happy, because that's what we wanted to achieve, and that's the sense of traveling somewhere, that you take something back and not just having drinks. That's also important. To network, of course, that was always very important, to have ample opportunities for that. But to take something back and to be happy and traveling home and saying, okay, this was really worthwhile for us to come, that is probably the biggest compliment we can get.
Well, I think it was also the degree of transparency that was evident in the room. And the fact that even in my shared interviews with the CEOs that were involved, it was all very relevant and very open conversations, something you don't always get in other industry conferences, and others tend to be too big, too grand to really get any deeper understanding of the way businesses are being run, and businesses that are trying to do good for the industry as a whole.
Yes, and I think this is really a bit of a result of the last 2 years of our work, especially in the commercial forum, because we also changed the format there completely to openness, to share data, to learn from each other, because only if we share experiences, we have an opportunity to learn and to take something back and improve our business back in home. And we all know not every airport is like another. Yeah, it's a different infrastructure, it's a different setup of cultures. So there is no copy-paste, there is no competition, and it was a bit of a cultural change work to do for Martijn and myself, really, to make it happen, that they are open, that they are sharing the numbers, that they are sharing deficits also, not only the successes. And having overcome this border, really, where you usually are like, okay, I would never tell anyone that I did something wrong, or what is my learning out of my failure, is not something what is really something close to us humans, because we always want to be perfect. And but like this, you can only learn from failure. It's the same thing for your whole of your life, for your life, for my life, for Martijn's life. Yeah, we can only learn from failure and sharing that success.
I thought you never made any mistakes, Philip.
Pardon?
I thought you never made any mistakes.
Of course not.
That's me. That's my role.
We managed in the commercial forum to have that spirit, and I think the spirit was reflected also today in the conference, that members and partners realized, okay, this is a room where we can actually learn from each other, and it's not taking something away from someone else, it's about sharing and growing as an industry. And I think that for me is really a relief when I look backwards now the last 2 years, and I think also for Martijn, because that was our mission and goal.
Yeah.
To create more openness, more liveliness, more participation of the membership. And that has not been the case in the past. That's why we wanted to change it. And in the conference, I think this was somehow reflected, wouldn't you say?
I think very much so. We had this instigation when we were elected for the commercial forum, but we tested that, of course, with the members. So it's not our show, it's for airports, by airports, and business partners. So it's airports and world business partners alike. And not too many people are fond watching a sales pitch all day. At least I don't like it.
We see that too often.
We see that too often, and I think that's also the way conferences are sometimes organized. Not always, but very often. You can buy your place on stage. In our case, you can't.
No, it is much more independent in that respect.
Absolutely, and if I may add to this, because I'm really going to give credit to Martijn, because him being a world business partner himself, he's always stepping back for the group, for the commercial forum, and just trying to do something decent together, and that really unifies us and makes us a good team, and that teamwork makes the dream work, yeah. And at the end of the day, that's where we're ending up now.
But of course, she's been re-elected chair and vice chair again, respectively. Congratulations on that. And I think I have to say that it works. I mean, you know, I'm sort of fairly cynical about these mega conferences. I've come out too often from one saying, well, what did I learn? Why did I pay the money? And the fact is, this feels completely different. There was a genuine vibe in that room that reflected the willingness for this to succeed, and also you could the feedback from the floor, from the speakers and the panel was robust. You know, it's great example of what can be possible for the next one. And maybe you should tell us what the next steps are for you.
Well, for us, it's really calling for hosts. Yeah, I mean, we still don't have one.
This is for spring next year.
This is for spring. So at the end of the day, our mission doesn't feel completed. Yes, we wanted to bring it back on stage, which we managed as a first step now for autumn here in Helsinki, and we are very grateful for that. But we wanted to try it with a one-day conference. So yes, it was successful. I think we can all agree on that. But now we need to bring it back to the level as it was pre-COVID, and that was a 2-day conference in spring, and that was a landmark on the agenda of each of us for the travel retail industry, especially for airports, and this is what we want to bring back. So we need also our partners to sponsor that in order to bring it back for a 2-day conference, but also to have a host who's willing to facilitate such a conference for our membership. And this is something, at the end of the day, you always have to remember, we're not getting paid for this. Yeah, we do that on top of our job. Our members are participating on top of their jobs. So it's really from the industry for the industry. And that's why we need support for it. And that's what probably the busy task will be the next weeks, to not only find a host, but also likewise sponsors to make it a great event and build up on the success we clearly had today.
Well, I think the evidence of the success today merits its place on the calendar every year hereafter. And I want to congratulate you both. Any final words?
Well, I think we showed that the vision that we had is feasible. We had a successful event. We feel the same way. But it's not only up to us. We do have day jobs next to this, although it sometimes doesn't feel coming up to an organization like this. But again, we are still chairing couple, and we want to make sure that it remains in a similar format. Not because of us, because we feel that it's a value creation format. So yes, I am a commercial guy, I'm a business owner, but I don't think it makes a lot of sense by pitching all day long. I think if you show examples, share examples, show your own leadership in your own right for a company as a person, that creates value and that creates this unity. This is what we've been doing in the commercial forum. We've extended that to the commercial conference, and I think that's what's resonating. So it's a human approach, perhaps a bit of corny phrase, but human approach came back a lot also today.
It did.
And I think that's the essence of it.
Oh.
Being brutally honest with yourself, being brutally honest with others, but also be kind to yourself and others.
And one also has to say, also, I mean, without the support of ACI and partners, it's also not possible. So it's at the end, it's not, as you said, you know, it's not the two of us. It's a family work, and it feels like a family meeting every time you see each other. I mean, we've seen that in your questions. Yeah, how many in the room are for that and that many years in the industry? And I would say more than half was there 10 years plus. And that shows that there's so much expertise, and that is really making us extremely proud and happy if those guys and women obviously are saying, wow, we take something back with that amount of experience. I think there's not much more we can do except extending that on a 2-day conference on the same level and then maintaining it.
Indeed.
That is the really difficult challenge. Then it's not that difficult to maybe qualify once for the Champions League, but to be there continuously on a high level, that's a different story. But that's our job.
I think that's well said, and I think we're agnostic when it comes to certain solutions. I think we're very much focused on certain results. So the format we discussed about, of course we're representing ACI as board members for the commercial forum, so those are fixed elements. All other elements we can reshape for coming spring, whatever they may be, to come to a successful solution for the industry, because it was for the industry by the industry. It's ultimately not our show, it's the industry show. And
although things might have been successful after the people went home, they might as well say, I have a suggestion for improvement, yeah, and I think it's very important to say also that we are open for that, yeah. It's not our show.
No.
It's an evolution of things, and I think this is the exciting part of it.
Okay, gentlemen. Well, congratulations once again, and here's to 2025. Cheers for now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter.